Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of the Incoherent Podcast. I'm Mark Russ, and with me as always is...
Ben Rogers.
So, Ben, this is our second episode.
Yeah.
This episode is actually being recorded on November 9th, which is actually the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Oh, yes.
I just thought I'd mention that right off the top, since, I don't know, it's for whatever reason, the Berlin Wall figures heavily in my sort of recollection of the 80s.
And
things like that. Like it's a big deal, and I remember watching it on TV when it came down. So it's sort of neat to think that it's been, 25 years since that happened.
Yeah. Well, in the movie Austin Powers, when he wakes up, and they're like, "What did you miss?" And then he watches like a super quick montage of all the time that he missed between the 70s and the 90s or whatever. The Berlin Wall was like one of those.
It makes it, it was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It was a big deal when it existed, and it was a big deal when it came down.
Yeah, very true.
And we recently passed the Halloween holiday.
Yes.
So how was your Halloween?
It was good. I had lots of kids last year, so I bought lots of candy last year, that's not exactly true. I didn't have a lot of kids last year, but I bought lots of candy.
Okay.
So this year I was like, well, I'm going to have the same amount of kids, so I bought half the candy.
Right.
And lo and behold, I ran out of candy right away. And,
really?
Yeah, and had to turn
Shut
off
the lights off
and
get
I was
egged.
like, hide in the... Yeah.
Oh yeah, you would. You'd have to hide in the back of the house.
And the funny thing is, I have some pieces of my home that are automated for lights and whatnot.
Right.
So the lights then turned on. I was like, okay, all the lights off, and then the lights turned on. And, no.
Home automation for the win.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That day, maybe not, but yeah. But it was good. Lots of cute costumes.
That's cool.
Yeah, always good to see the kids. And the candy. Always.
Yeah, I handed out candy. My wife took the kids out, and I stayed home and I drank. My brother came over and we drank beer, and handed out candy.
Yeah.
It was a Friday night, so it was nice. It was good though. We got about probably between 30 and 50 kids.
Nice.
I don't keep track or anything like that.
Okay.
So I just usually buy 2 boxes, and just give out 2 or 3 candies to kids, and then whatever's left over, we slowly eat over time.
Nice. Yeah.
So, it was good.
Yeah, I do keep track. Actually, right beside there's a checklist. But this year I got up to 55 and then had to call it quits.
Yeah, we live on a dead end street.
Oh, okay.
So there's a school across from us. So I just think for a lot of people it doesn't make sense to turn.
No. People
avoid it because you only get sort of half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Not the best area for that, but that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too overrun with kids.
No, it's still fun. It's still fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and over the last few week and a bit, we had the task, I guess, of getting our episode edited and everything like that put up online. So I guess we can speak a bit as to the trials and tribulations, I guess, of our first episode. So recording it was not really a problem at all.
No. High tech setup.
Yeah. Yeah. Editing and that was pretty much done the day we recorded it.
Yeah. Well, you handled all that. I went home basically. I went home. I did do some of the WordPress stuff though.
Yes, very good.
I got the iTunes stuff. It was actually, I was surprised how easy it all went.
Oh yeah.
Like I expected sort of more hiccups, or I expected iTunes to take longer. Not that iTunes is the only podcast game out there, but it's a really big one.
Yeah.
So I expected sort of I expected more hiccups because there generally are with sort of technology-based projects. But as far as I'm concerned, it went relatively well. We still need to fix up the site. I need to change that header image. Since it's still just that I just plasma dragon or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So, but I think I think it all went well. I think it's coming along well. I'm glad that you got it up onto SoundCloud. I think that's cool. I think that's a good place for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, very it's really, SoundCloud is really popular these days with music, especially.
Berlin-based startup.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently there's a big sort of startup scene in Berlin.
Wow.
And SoundCloud's one of the big ones that came out of there.
Wow. Well,
I'm almost 90% positive.
That's awesome.
And one thing I did want to say, too, is if anybody has any feedback about sort of the way we host the podcast or where you can get it or anything like that, just let us know on Twitter, probably at Incoherent Pod.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, we'll try to do whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Trying to get it up on YouTube right now as well.
Yes. Trying to get it up on YouTube because YouTube needs an image to go with the audio, and you can't just upload the audio, you need an actual video. Mm-hmm. So somehow I need to convert the video to show, or the audio to show a video of an image of something of our party. Anyway, I'm working on it.
I'm pretty sure, like I said, iMovie will do it, because like you could do like a photo montage with a soundtrack, but only one photo, and just a really long soundtrack. That's sort of what I think. That's sort of what I think was one of the ways that you could do it.
Sure, yeah. It would be funny if it was just like 10 seconds of our logo just fading in and out and panning around.
I could do that. I could just do all those things, like all those old-fashioned fades where you flip in half with the blinders. You used to think they looked cool. Ken Burns effect. Our logo, Ken Burns effect. Yeah. For an hour. That's it.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's amazing how presentation styles have changed, because before it was like taught in schools pretty much, like, you can fade it or use the sweeping across, like, and now it's just like either no transition or a fade. That's pretty much.
Well, because they realize it doesn't do anything. It detracts from it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's annoying,
jarring.
Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah, and so and got the website stuff, all the back end stuff for the website, and
WordPress is amazing to set up, though, because I remember setting up WordPress probably a decade ago, setting up WordPress and stuff like that, and it was just such a pain back in the day, because you had to do everything that the installer does now. You would do it manually and stuff like that. Yeah. It wasn't that bad. Like, if you're technical, you could figure it out. Yeah. But now it's so easy.
Yeah.
You just go in, bloop, 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 just fill in your things. Oh, but I also know how to do it right. Create a database, get the passwords for that sort of setup, get the secret keys and stuff like that, and then just boom. The hardest part is actually, or the longest part is actually uploading the FTP and all the files, because it's so many small files. Yeah. It seems to take a long time to do that, and then picking a theme and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, and the creative side too, like design the logo. And
that part's much more work than just installing WordPress, which is actually the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
That's why WordPress is so good, is because the back end stuff is trivial.
Yeah.
Because that's the part you don't actually care that much about.
No.
You want it to be good. Yeah. But you don't really care. As long as it functions, you don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus it's written in PHP, and who wants to deal with that?
Yeah, I have, but anyway.
I like the logo you made too.
Oh,
I think it's pretty cool.
Yes, it doesn't. Honestly, some people might be commenting about our logo, but it looks like it's been done in paint. It's in some way or form, but no, it was fully done in Photoshop with.
I like it. I think it's
4
good.
layers or something.
Because last time we didn't have a logo last time.
No.
We had a website.
Had a website. Had
WordPress on it, I think.
Yeah.
Had WordPress on. Oh, that was the thing. So we had WordPress up last time, but we didn't have any of the podcast feed from which to start. That's one of the things one of the small things that I did. Yeah. And that plugin's great.
Oh yeah.
Right. It was super easy to use.
Yeah, I love plugins like that. Though there's some websites that have like 20 plugins, and you're like, maybe, but it is actually plugins for WordPress are a lot like Twitter apps, like the app authentication that you use. Like you can be like, I'm signed in on SoundCloud as Ben Rogers or something. It's a good way to bog down your account, and if something does happen, like if Twitter post plugin .exe.
Yeah.
If it gets if someone publishes it with bad code or whatever, it can affect your site. So the less things that you do use is better, but
I'll leave that to you for the most part, since you know a lot more about that than I do.
Yeah, you bet. And so that's pretty much everything. I was actually, you mentioned the iTunes side not getting authorized or whatever right away, but it was really quick. You're right.
Yeah,
because I'm used to the side of like iTunes Store for apps, and that's a bit of a wait.
Well, yeah, and I was sort of warned that it would take a long time, but it was 2 days.
Yeah, not even.
Yeah. So it was good.
Very good. Yeah, and I guess we experienced our first bit of snow in the past week and a bit. Didn't stay, but
today it was snowing this morning.
It snowed this morning
at about 9 in the morning while I was playing Minecraft with my sons.
Nice.
Yeah, but nothing staying on the ground yet.
Yeah, that's good. I had to blow some of the snow off my car door this morning.
Really?
Yeah, just hanging there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
nothing. I was out today grocery shopping and stuff like that. It was cold, but no snow.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe by the next time we record this actually, I wouldn't be surprised. The next time we record this podcast in 2 weeks,
yes,
we should see some snow.
Yeah, we could do a snow clock.
I still like the idea of doing a live one somewhere.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
In a pub where no one can hear us.
Yep. And then like everyone awkwardly coming, like, what are they doing over there?
Who are those people? Yeah. And the owners come and ask us to slowly leave. Excuse me, you can't record.
Yeah. That was our first guest.
Yeah.
Walking away. That would be great. Just like name people and like, oh, there's Heineken Bob over there drinking. All he does is drink.
So we could do that. It'd be like a Seinfeld episode. Because that's kind of what they would do.
Yeah. And I guess we can talk about any Christmas plans before we get into like the tech side. Any Christmas plans going on?
Any Christmas plans? For us, nope. Just hanging out, staycation. I'm hoping. I haven't taken any time off at my new job yet, so I'm hoping to take some time off from the holidays and relax with the wife and kids and stuff like that. And hopefully it won't be so cold. And take some time to get outside and stuff like that. If it's really nice, maybe go up to my parents' cottage for a couple of days. No water out there at this time of the year.
Yeah.
But still nice to get up.
Oh, yeah.
What about yourself?
Was thinking of getting out of the city, as in, I mean like tropical.
Oh, nice.
Tropics-wise. I don't think that just the flight and scheduling and the hotel thing, I don't think that it's going to work, but we'll see.
Okay.
Who knows?
Well, if you do, I'll just record the podcast by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, just like answer both sides of the...
You're brilliant! I agree.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so that pretty much is everything that I, leading up to this, that wanted to talk to about. Yeah.
So I have a few notes here that I wanted to go over. Now, what I wanted to do... Now we'll see if this works at all. But I want to ask you a few questions.
Oh, sure.
Right? And they're tech related, in sort of like a pop quiz kind of.
Yeah.
But and not to. This isn't to, because you might actually have followed some of this news. You might know some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not to sort of show that you're intelligent or unintelligent in terms of these topics.
Oh boy.
It's merely to just start a conversation about something.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And actually, my hope is that you don't know the answers, so that I could probe you to see why you would think things are the way they are. Because I think that, like, if you don't know the answers, then that might be interesting to see, like, well, why? Like, here is the answer. Why would you think it's that way? Right? Because sometimes when you hear an answer or you hear about some statistics or something like that, you get an explanation along with them, and then that sort of leads you into believing the explanation that you heard along with the statistics.
Yep.
But when somebody doesn't know them, then the hope is that it's like, well, you'll have a fresh take on it, and you might be able to come up with something. So again, it's not about being smart or not smart or anything like that in terms of the results, It's just to try to figure out interesting things around the statistics.
Awesome.
This might be a terrible podcast, by the way. I don't know yet. And Ben did not know I was going to do this before.
No idea.
Before, so hopefully it's good. So, my question for you is, can you name the top 5 smartphone manufacturers in order? Starting at number 1 and going all the way to number 5. And I'll give you a hint about number 4 and 5 is it's actually, there is no 4 and 5, there's just 4. Because they're tied. And this is for the last quarter.
Okay.
So Q3 2014.
Q3.
And this is IDC numbers.
Okay, international.
I don't know.
Okay.
Everyone just calls them IDC. It's IDC Gartner.
Okay.
Gartner's another group of like numbers people, and IDC is someone else.
Oh, okay.
IDC is what I found.
Well, I'm going to start with Apple being the first.
Okay.
Just based on numbers and stuff.
Oh, sorry. And I'm talking units shipped. Units shipped globally.
Globally.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear. Unit shipped globally.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to switch my first answer to Samsung.
You are correct.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, I will say Apple.
You're correct.
Okay. Great. Now, number 3.
And here I'll say something because this might help. Samsung Q3 shipped 78.3 million phones. Apple Q3 shipped 39.3 million phones.
Wow.
So just to give the numbers in a ballpark.
Yeah.
For you.
Okay. I'm going to say number 3. I believe it's like a wild card, if you will, but I think it's called Huawei.
Huawei?
What? Oh,
yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I've never.
But that's not correct.
Oh.
But good guess. Good guess.
Okay, great.
Number 3 is actually Xiaomi. It's a Chinese-based phone manufacturer. They sell in China, Singapore, and India, and they sold 17.3 million phones.
Wow, awesome.
So Xiaomi.
Okay.
Yeah, and they do a lot of really interesting things actually. Xiaomi.
Yeah.
They're a very interesting smartphone manufacturer.
Wow.
So 4 and 4 now.
Well, let's say HTC. No.
No.
Not LG. Not Moto. LG? Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
LG's technically in 5th place by like 10 million.
Yeah.
Tied for 4th place is Lenovo and LG. Now Lenovo. Some addendums to these things. So Lenovo sold 16.9 million phones. Now Lenovo only sells phones in China. They sell laptops obviously because they own the ThinkPad brand from IBM. But they only sell phones, I believe, in China. Maybe there's some other countries that they sell it in, but they sold 16.9 million, and LG sold 16.8 million phones.
Wow.
Now, the addendum is that Lenovo's acquisition of Motorola closed recently in the last 2 weeks, I guess, or a week and a half or whatever it is. So, with the addition of Motorola's phone sales, Lenovo actually surpasses Xiaomi in sales, but right now they are operating as separate companies. Wow. So I kept them sort of separate.
Nice.
For that. So
interesting.
Yeah. So I just thought I just wanted to hear what you would how you'd guess and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's interesting. This is sort of, I think it's neat to look at do deep dives and statistics and stuff like that. But one of the things that I think is interesting is this is part 2 of my quiz now. Okay. So Q3 2013, Samsung shipped 85 million phones, right?
Yeah.
So they are 7.9%. They had a 7.9% decrease in phone shipments, right? I believe these are just phones shipped, not necessarily sold. I believe.
Okay.
I believe this might be sold, like, what is it, sell through? So this might be phones that were shipped and then sold. I don't quite know. I sort of did this quickly before I left.
Yeah, sure.
The ranking is correct though. So Samsung's sales were down 7.9%. That's year over year, right? Okay. So Q3 2013 versus Q3 2014, they were down 7.9%. Now, what percentage do you think their profits are down?
Oh, can I even say if they are down?
Yeah,
Can
you
their
could
profits be up?
their profits could be up. Yes, they're not.
Okay.
But-
Okay. No, I didn't think. Well, so 7% decrease.
7.9 decrease in sales.
I would say it would be something like 4%
Okay.
decrease. Like I would say less, less of a decrease in profits as opposed to.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
And the reason is because their profits are actually down 49%. And that's what I wanted to ask.
Oh my.
This is my big question. Why do you think Samsung's sales, which were so Samsung's sales were relatively stable, right? They're down 7.9%. Maybe that's a big deal. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem too crazy to me.
No.
But so from a sales decrease of 7.9%, why do you think that their profits are down 49% year over year?
I guess. I'm thinking like people are buying less phones because they're still using last year's, but
they only their sales were only down
because that would then decrease sales. So.
And again, now I actually don't know the answer to this, so this is actually the interesting
point.
nugget that I wanted to get at.
Yeah. That's I don't know.
Because now this is something that a lot of people predicted actually would happen to Samsung, because of what you see in number 3 and number 4, in terms of the sales. So the rise of things like Xiaomi and Lenovo, and actually because you said Huawei, it's the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Actually, let me expand that. It's because of numbers 2, 3, and 4. Basically. So the idea is that Samsung sells from the high end all the way to the low bottom of the barrel, right? And on the high end, they're being squeezed by number 2, which is Apple.
Yeah.
And Apple's getting a lot of that high end, right? So that they're squeezing Samsung out of the high end. And at the low end, you're having things like Xiaomi, Lenovo, and Huawei, ZTE, all these other phones squeezing them out of the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
So this is what people have been saying would happen for a long time. It's just such a dramatic decrease.
Oh yeah. Well, even now, I believe it was about 3 months ago, Samsung announced the very cheap phones. I think they're called A phones. So the Samsung Note A or something like that, which is a attempt to get into the very low priced kind of hardware reduced, optimized for price wise hardware, but it doesn't sound like it's working all that well yet.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the growth is gonna come. You're gonna see we've reached saturation in a lot of the Western markets.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see big growth coming from places like India, Indonesia. Indonesia, I believe, is like the 4th largest or 4th most populous country in the world.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of room for growth in these sorts of sub-Saharan Africa, all these sorts of places.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't know. It actually, the decrease in profits that Samsung suffers actually worries me a little bit, because on this list of the top 5, Xiaomi ships their own version of Android, right? With their own store and all that sort of stuff. So there's no Google Play services on it at all.
Right.
It's their own fork-ish of Android.
Yeah, which I think is because China is pretty restrictive when it comes to the Google Play app and every other kind of
Google
store.
services. Yeah. Lenovo, I believe, does the same sort of thing.
Probably.
Right? LG does ship Android, and Samsung does ship Android.
Yeah.
So you're seeing, and here's the thing too. So you're seeing Android has. Here's another thing that happened in Q3 that's kind of unrelated, but it just reminded me of it. Android's percent of worldwide smartphone numbers decreased from 85% down to 84%. So not a big decrease, right? But it actually slipped, which is interesting. I don't know who gained, but I know that they slipped.
Yeah.
But it's worrisome to me in some respects for Android and maybe even for the whole smartphone ecosystem that you have someone like Samsung who still sold 78.3 million phones in one quarter, which is huge, right? Android dominates the market, and yet their profits were down 50% basically.
Yeah, wow.
Which is huge. And another interesting statistic is Apple is roughly 11% of the smartphone market, and they capture roughly 90% of the profits.
Wow.
Yeah. So these are the numbers I heard. Whether they're true or not, who knows? But I don't know. That to me is crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It would be great to see like the graphs of that too.
If you like that sort of stuff, you should check out benevans.com.
Okay.
Benedict Evans. He puts on a lot of presentations about mobile and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'll put a link in the show notes and stuff like that. And he's got lots of really cool graphs. I love graphs and data like that. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So which is why I like these sorts of statistics as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what happened to Samsung though, but it worries me for the overall ecosystem.
Yes, that's true. And they have very innovative things as well, like the Note with the just what you can do with a stylus, and a whole bunch of a lot of their stuff seems hardware centric or something like that. Like a lot of flip your phone over and it'll mute it, or close the screen protector and you'll get quick information, or hold your hand over the phone and it'll show you how many missed calls you have. Yeah, very not exactly software based. Well, it's software, but it's not in your phone. It's kind of stuff that you do to your phone, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they get a lot of knocks for their software, right? They get credit for some of their hardware. The big thing about Samsung, I think, is they can bring anything to market.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I think that they just they'll make a phone in any shape or size and they can just do it, right? Like they probably have every inch from 3 to 10 covered, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What version of a Samsung device do you want? Like you can get it.
Oh yeah.
And they'll do anything.
Yeah.
So I think in some respects that works well, right? Because you could sort of, it's that idea, throw it at the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
But it makes it cluttered and makes it messy.
It does, yeah.
Right? And someone like Apple has a much more focused message, except for their iPad lineup nowadays, which is, I don't know, I find bizarrely complicated.
Yeah. I love the namings of both Samsung and Apple, but Apple, like the iPad Air, 16 gigabytes. Then there's the iPad 5, and then there's the iPad HD and the iPad Retina Lite and the iPad.
I like the iPhone lineup names, and then it's like I find their iPad stuff so not confusing, but confusing, I guess, because it's hard for me to remember.
Yeah.
Well, they have the Mini, the Air, the normal one, and then it's just I don't know. I find it that this one has Retina, this one doesn't have Retina. I find it confusing.
Yeah. It's almost like they should sub-name them. So the iPad Air is only the 8-inch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there should be like a new iPhone or iPad Sapphire or something, and that's the full version that has Retina, for example, or something like that. And then just work up so that everyone knows, this is the lineup that I want to be purchasing in. Instead of anyway.
I think it seems very un-Apple, actually, to have all these phones with all these confusing sort of it's the iPad Air, it's the iPad Air 2, it's the iPad Mini 3 or something like that. And it's kind of why is everything feel disjointed?
The new iPad Air.
Yeah.
And you're that's the name of the version?
Yeah, I sort of think that what they're going to do is get rid of some of that. They're just selling off stock.
Okay.
Especially because iPad and tablet sales were relatively flat.
Yes.
Flat to down for everybody this last quarter. So they might just be having some leftover inventory
Yeah.
that they want to take care of.
Yeah, and we talked about the reasoning behind less tablet sales on our last podcast.
Yeah.
In case anyone's interested.
It was a barn burner, that last podcast. No. So I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Right? So there's very few left in my quiz.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll stick with smartphones. I have another... Well, okay, whatever. I won't stick with smartphones. What percentage of connected internet devices... So this would be desktop PCs, laptops, phones, tablets, and stuff like that. What percentage of internet-connected devices do you think run Microsoft operating systems?
Oh, wow. I would say about 48%.
Okay, good guess.
Yeah.
The number is 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That went down fast.
It did go down fast.
Wow. Because I was trying to take into effect offices and like workplace computers, and wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
The scale of mobile is so big that it destroys all that PC stuff in terms of sheer numbers, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I like, so when I heard that statistic, and you can see a graph of the Microsoft numbers, right? And it's kind of staggering.
Yeah.
Because you think of them as being such, and they are, like, not to take Microsoft down in terms of the profits that they make and the size of their business and stuff like that, but just to see their position in that market, and this was something that I could feel this happening. I didn't know the numbers or whatever, but you could feel the importance of, at least in consumer electronics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of Microsoft and Windows, just from where it was in, say, 95 to where it is now. It's a much different world.
Absolutely.
Right? I wish I could remember, but I can't remember. Anyways, so, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think Microsoft is doing so many of those. They're putting so much of their bread and butter on other platforms and stuff like that, because they have to.
Yeah. I just saw I think it was the first Android app that Microsoft has developed. Is now in the Google Play Store.
Well, they have OneDrive.
Oh, right, yes.
Have you used it?
I have. Yeah, I'm on OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. I'm on like all of them. And I pretty much solely use Dropbox and Google Drive.
Okay.
I think I have a few photos in OneDrive. There was like a promo where you could get some extra space.
Okay.
About a month ago, so I got extra space, but I want to try to narrow down the services I use, especially for box storage like that. I don't use it. I have used their app, and it's nice.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a Dropbox, Google Drive kind of guy.
I usually do Google Drive just because it comes with your Google account. Yeah. It's on your Android phone by default, and it just sort of works. The one nice thing I have heard about OneDrive is that it's cross-platform. Yeah. So, you can run it on your Windows PC, Android, iOS, Mac, Windows Phone if you have it. So it's across all these different... And this is sort of what I was getting at, too, is that they have all these things across all these platforms because they have to. Yeah. Right? Yeah. In order to stay relevant and stay within consumers' minds, they sort of have to do that sort of stuff.
Yes.
At least this is, this is the sort of the prevailing wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, and now all I use is Google Docs and so like Sheets for that, Excel and stuff. I don't use Office anymore.
No, neither do I. I use Office at my job.
Yeah, me too.
That's it, and that's only because they have it there, right? Like I don't use Office at home. I firmly believe that Office is a work tool. Yeah. And I think Microsoft for the longest time was confused, and they thought that people liked it, or that like not saying it's bad, but that people had some sort of emotional attachment to it,
right,
and wanted it,
yep.
right? People didn't. People use Office for work,
yep.
and that includes students, because students' work
yep.
is school, and they use it there, right? No, like the average person doesn't care about Word.
No,
the average person doesn't have to write documents,
no.
right? Except at work.
Yeah.
You know, so because they do all these sorts of like Office 365 or whatever it is, it's a subscription-based thing now, right?
Yep.
And the big thing is like, oh, you can get 5 licenses, you can put it on 5 different PCs, and it's doing quite well, right, as far as I understand, but who needs 5 copies of Office? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Theoretically, wouldn't your work if you're working at home? Theoretically, your office should supply you with that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Well, you talked about you don't have that emotional connection with Office.
No.
Yeah, exactly. You don't go to the store and you're like, oh, I'm gonna look at what's on my cart. It's the Office 360. I'm going home. I'm installing this. I'm so excited. You're not even nowadays. Almost pretty much with Photoshop and like the Adobe products, you don't have that super excitement for it. It's a work tool, and yeah. So absolutely, you're right. I
think the same thing happened actually with Windows in general.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think Microsoft vastly overestimated the amount that people cared about Windows. And there are devoted Windows people, just like there's Windows zealots, like there are OS 10 zealots and Android zealots, iOS zealots, Windows Phone. Like they exist. These fanboys exist, and they're out there. But the vast majority of people just didn't care. I don't even know if I might have even went over this on our last podcast, because I talk about this all the time. But basically, people bought computers, and it came with something that ran things, and it happened to be in the very early days. They bought it because it was the same thing that they ran at work.
Yeah. Oh, I'm familiar with this. This is great.
And then after a while, people just bought exactly, and then the people just bought these computers because they were cheaper.
Yeah.
Right? And it came with this thing, right? And sometimes they called it Office, right? They were talking about Windows. Sometimes they called it whatever. They didn't know what it was. They didn't care.
Yeah.
Right? It just came. And they didn't like it. But it was the only thing that there was. Do you know what I mean? And they got the next version of Windows when they bought their next PC.
Yeah.
Right? But they didn't actually care. They didn't like it. They blamed all their computer problems on it. Right? And I think Microsoft thought that their brand was strong with consumers, and I think their brand is terrible with consumers.
Yes.
Right? I think their brand is strong with IT and enterprise departments.
Absolutely.
Right? But with the average consumer just doesn't care.
Yeah. And you can also compare this to the same thing with Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is to people of the before times.
Yeah.
People of the past. It's the internet.
Yeah.
I'm opening the internet. This is the internet button.
Yeah.
And it just continued that way. And then other platforms started to come out, like Firefox, like Opera, and Safari, and now with Google Chrome.
Yeah.
And people are putting away, like, what are you using as browser? It's the same type of thing as Office. Like, Office kind of chugged away, and all these other people were like, look at this awesome thing that I've done. Join us instead. Yeah,
well, Office is Microsoft's biggest moneymaker. It makes more money than Windows does now.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Well, and the interesting thing, too, is that, we're both technical and stuff like that. And I believe one person who is technically oriented that uses Internet Explorer. Everybody else I know, so I work with a group of programmers and stuff like that. Nobody runs Explorer. No. Not one. It's the default browser pre-installed on all these PCs because we run Windows and stuff like that. Nobody runs it.
Yep.
Nobody. They run it once to download something else.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm not actually saying anything bad about Internet Explorer now. It was that Internet Explorer 6 was so terrible.
Yeah.
That it has a stigma now. Yes. Right? So nobody wants it. Everyone's like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and with things like Internet Explorer and Office and everything like that, like people are. And I lost my point, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, no. Like I used to be a pretty big Microsoft booster back in the day, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I liked Windows and stuff like that.
Yep, me too.
And then they did all this stuff, and they do something so terribly. Like, they have to have 8,000 SKUs. And they have to have the worst names, Professional Pro Plus, and all this home premium, home this, that. Man, it's just, I don't know why, right? Like, they had such a dominant position there, and they just, I don't know. Like, maybe it's because I developed software for Windows for a long time. Mm-hmm. I just feel, I don't know. Like, I went from really liking them to almost kind of having this, like, frustration with them.
Yeah.
You know, I find Microsoft frustrating.
Yeah, well, I think it was Vista for a lot of people.
Sure.
That was a real change for a whole bunch of things. And similarly with Firefox.
Okay.
I used to be a diehard Firefox.
Yeah. You said that, yeah.
Yeah, and then Firefox 4, Firefox 4 was like the Vista of Firefox. Like, the compatibility for add-ons was, like, I was an add-on developer. I was an add-on fiend. I had a ton, my favorite, and just nothing worked. And you couldn't force it to work, and it was just like, ugh, I have to find something else. So
now you're a Chrome guy?
Now I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Even now, I run Chrome pretty clean. Like, I don't have many applications. Whereas in Firefox, I had like 60 add-ons going on.
Really?
Yeah. I had something to do, customize every little piece of a website, and it was perfect the way it worked.
Yeah.
But, I don't really miss it, though. It was...
No. I think that sort of stuff happens, right? I think people get interested in that sort of stuff, and it's fun for a while. And then you get a little older and you're just like, I just kind of need to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to actually just visit this website, or I need to send an email. I don't need to do this anymore. And you kind of just get a little past that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have another question for you.
Okay.
This one's just a guesstimate question. It's kind of related to the previous question.
Okay.
So we just finished Q3, right? So since Q3, between the end of Q3 2013 to the end of Q3 2014, how many smartphones do you think were sold?
I will say like 8 to, I'll say 11 million smartphones.
Wait, no, in a year. Sorry, I did a full year there.
Yeah, same.
11 million?
Yeah.
Well, remember that Samsung sold 78.3 million in the last quarter.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 100. No.
Can't be 100.
Is it in a billion?
I don't know. Guess.
Okay, 11 billion.
11 billion. Wow.
3 for every, or like 1.5 for every person in the world.
It was a banner year for smartphones.
Yeah. Okay. Let's backtrack that. Maybe. I'll say 700 million.
Good guess. 1.2 billion.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so the which is a huge number. Some projections for this year, for 2014 in general, are 1.3 to 1.4 billion. So it'll be bigger this year than last year. 326 million in the last quarter. Wow. I'm reading this in case anyone thinks I just know this stuff off by heart. I'm reading this off some notes that I wrote down. So one of the interesting things about that 1.2 billion in sales, right, is that dwarfs the amount of PCs that are sold. right?
Mm-hmm.
Sold, right? So these aren't smartphones that are in existence. These are smartphones that were sold. Right? So there's a lot of PCs in existence, but I don't know the number of PCs that were sold, but it's much less than 1.2 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Much less. So that's why Microsoft's percentage is so low.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, is it by the end of this year? At the end of 2014 or end of 2015, there'll be roughly I think it's the end of this year. There will be 2 billion smartphones out there.
Wow.
Yeah. So the market is massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 myself.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. That does, like, a lot of people have more than one.
Yeah. And though I have the Note 3 and the Note 1. And I don't really use the Note 1, but it's kind of there for, there's some
just because?
Yeah. So that's, I'm sure, what a few people are dealing with as well, which are adding to that number.
There's people that have work phones, home phones, and different things like that.
Yep.
And see, the interesting thing is that, like, the phone's very personal too, right? So you're gonna have, husband, wife, husband, whatever it is, right? And they're each gonna have their own smartphone. They're not gonna share a smartphone.
No.
Right? So if you have a family of 5, there's a good chance that everyone will have a smartphone, right?
There. Yeah.
The 2 parents, the 3 kids, right? Maybe the dog. Everyone has a smartphone. Why not? Just give him your Note 1.
Yeah, that would be cool. Strap to his back or something.
Yeah, you can make some videos.
Yeah. Actually, also on that, with the one phone per person, there's the whole thing, like, there's still people that, I believe you might be one.
I don't have a smartphone.
Okay, you don't have one, but there's those people that at a bar or a meetup or something, someone like flips out the flip phone.
Yeah,
and it's so great. It's so like, whoa, everybody, look at this guy.
It's mostly because they deal drugs, probably. That's their burden.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it's like I'm watching Breaking Bad right now as well. Okay. But it seems even on all the old shows like The Wired and stuff like that, those are all people's burners and stuff like that they would buy at 7-Eleven or
24 as well.
Yeah. So I'm not saying these people are drug dealers.
No, but actually, on a quick note of 24, one of my favorite shows, by the way.
Oh yeah.
24 couldn't exist without the cell phone.
Yes.
There's articles written about it that this show would have not existed without the invention of the cell phone, which is amazing.
Yeah. And on the flip side, you get a whole bunch of plots and things like that couldn't exist now because of the smartphone.
Yeah.
Right? The only thing you can do is be like, I got no reception. Right? Like,
why?
Yeah, that's the only reason. Otherwise, like, you're stuck in a whatever. You go, hey, we're here in the car.
Yeah.
Come get us. Okay. Be there in a bit.
Yep.
Show's over.
Or I'm here at the electronics store, and do you want red or blue? And then it's like, just take a photo of both, and I like the red one. Stuff like that.
So, yeah. So, it is interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. So those were all my big quiz.
Oh, good.
You did great.
Oh, wow. I was off by tons.
But it wasn't. You weren't meant to be right or wrong. I wanted you to be wrong, really, because I think most people will be wrong.
Yeah, it gives a good discussion.
Yeah.
Instead of like having it right on.
But you could have, right? It just depends on whether you nerd out on certain statistics and stuff. Because I do. Yeah. Right. I also think your guess. This is something I wanted to mention earlier, and I don't know if I did, but your guess of Huawei.
Yeah.
Is very, very interesting, and that I think ties into why Samsung. The very idea that a company like Huawei would be number 3, and nothing against Huawei again, just shows you what's possible, or the amount of companies that could be chipping away at Samsung's.
Yeah.
Like all these different ants or whatever, chipping away at Samsung's profits.
Yeah. And also, on a funny note, it also proves that when you read all these articles, you can know stuff about a company like I did. But because I've only read about it, I had no idea how to pronounce it.
Yes,
Hawaii. That's how it was pronounced.
Yeah, no. It's.
I have other similar, silly things too.
No, don't feel bad. I only know because of podcasts.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And if you ever, Xiaomi is Xiaomi.
Wow.
And it's like Xiaomi.
Yeah.
Xiaomi is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But Xiaomi is they're quite a big company.
Mm-hmm.
But they're quite new and stuff like that. I've been sort of very interested in what they've been doing for a long time.
Oh yeah. I'm always amazed how companies like that can get around all this patent stuff too, because you think like, a screen like this, it has to have a special patent or a button at the bottom, and a lot of these companies seem to do really well with all this patent stuff, craziness going around, which I'm always impressed with.
Part of it is because they operate in areas of the world where IP is a little less enforceable sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier, if you're just within China.
Yeah.
It's harder for Apple to do anything to them.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Good point. It's a little bit more. I think that's part of it.
Okay. Yeah. Plus, just as a guess, if there's a competitor in America or in Finland or something, as opposed to in China, the Chinese would much rather prefer the revenue generating in their own country. So promoting something in their own country.
The Chinese government would.
For sales to get more tax, as opposed to this Finnish company can do smartphones a lot better. Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing, though, is from what I understand, this is just something that I've heard. I don't know, so I could be wrong, but that for a long time, Chinese consumers actually preferred foreign brands to Chinese brands. Like, I guess there was a certain, what I've been told is that there was a certain amount of cachet associated with sort of foreign brands.
Sure.
They were like, maybe it was considered more upscale or something like that. But with some of these new Chinese brands, that's kind of turning around.
Yeah.
And you get people are not more willing, but it's not again, this is just some things I've heard. I don't want to speak for the entire Chinese people and stuff like that.
Me,
But just that people are more willing to buy Chinese brands and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So it's like Canadians watching Canadian movies.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on the last podcast? Did we talk about Paul Gross?
No.
Really?
Now, is he... See, I think it's a Paul Gross who is in Tremors. I think he's but there's also Paul Gross, the one who has done movies such as like Men with Brooms. And
that's the Paul Gross I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm sure it was Paul Gross, but anyway, I think he's like the mind or the main actor or something in Tremor, like all these great, like...
It's gotta be a different Paul Gross.
Okay. Yeah, write to us. Is it? I know it's the last name.
P.O. Box. Station 8, Toronto. Whatever it has to be. Station 8, Toronto, Ontario.
Yeah, no, we didn't talk about this. The Canadian movies on our last episode.
Must have been another podcast.
I
don't know.
Wow.
I was on Pub Chat.
Yeah.
I don't know when that episode's coming out. Maybe it never will.
Yeah. Give them a listen.
Yeah. Pubchat.ca or pubchat.com. I forget what it is, but it's a beer-based podcast. We talk about home brewing and different things like that.
Yeah.
Where was I talking? Why was I talking about? I was talking to somebody about Paul Gross recently for some reason. It had to do with the fact that, like, when you're a kid growing up in Canada, at least 30 years ago, there was this idea that Canadian movies were terrible.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? And they were all just bad. And so you never wanted to watch them. And so I was sort of likening that to perhaps Chinese people's view of Chinese brands.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Sure.
Like, you never wanted to watch a movie that was about Winnipeg because it would just be bad.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh.
True.
Is this a Canadian movie?
But now they're good. Now
exactly.
Thanks
to Paul Gross. This is my...
It's all to...
But he actually I'm not knocking Paul Gross because he actually did a lot. He tried to make. I don't necessarily like Men with Brooms or anything like that, but I like the idea that he tried to make not a Canadian movie. It talked about curling, so it's kind of almost necessarily Canadian. But he just tried to make a movie that was good, and it just happened to be shot in Canada and starring Canadians and stuff like that. So it was nice because it was just a movie.
Yeah,
it wasn't a Canadian movie.
Right.
It was a movie that happened to be filmed in Canada and Canadian.
Yeah,
and I liked it. I like that, right?
Yeah.
So like we'll just make movies.
Sure.
And we'll do that.
There's only really because I saw Men with Brooms a while back.
Yeah.
There's only two things that I can remember about the movie, and there's this couple that are trying to have a kid, and they're just like having sex like left, right, and center.
Oh yeah.
And that's one, and I'm like, and then the other is at some point in time they go to curl, and the guy does like a 360.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's like the only things that I can remember about that movie.
Leslie Nielsen's in it.
Yes.
He grows magic mushrooms in it. That's one of the things I remember.
See, wow.
Yeah.
I erased it from my memory.
Wow. I don't think it was the best movie in the world, but again, I'm not knocking Paul Gross.
Yeah.
He also did that war movie that I didn't see.
Oh, Tremors. Yeah.
yeah. It was a World War I movie about some famous Canadian stand called Tremors.
Oh, okay.
Tremor Trench. No. And Remembrance Day's coming up, so I shouldn't make these terrible jokes.
Yes. Yeah. So, do you have any other key points of topic?
I have one more.
Oh, I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
So Google Play has been they've been announcing a whole bunch of they have the Google Play gift cards.
Yep.
The Google Play gift cards have been now available in a whole bunch of new countries these days, which is interesting for Android especially.
Yes.
As in more people because you go to any store pretty much and you see get the iTunes 15, iTunes 10, iTunes now there's with Google Play it gives Android and Google and everything just another chance to be in people's memories or in your memories at the which is great. And now
it's in my memory.
Yeah, exactly. And now also along with this news of the gift cards, Google is also opening in a whole bunch of different countries paid apps. So
yes.
in I think it's Venezuela or something, until last week people could only have free apps, which boggles my mind actually that things like that still exist. But the App Store with paid apps has been opening in a whole bunch of new countries now.
You mentioned that before the podcast. I didn't actually know, but I do know that they it was just difficult for them to get into certain countries and stuff like that, certain regulations and things like that. So it's a global economy, but if you want to do, I guess, transactions in all these different places, it's not as easy as you think.
No. So that's good on Google for getting that done.
And I do think you're right about the Google Play gift cards and stuff like that. I think it's actually it's important for the brand and stuff like that. And like you said, memories, right? And you you felt like you misspoke and stuff like that. But I actually think you're right.
Yeah.
In that they need to be there, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I think in terms of mind share, Android, like in terms of market share, Android dominates. Now I don't think market share is the be all end all.
No.
So in terms of market share, they dominate, but in terms of mind share in the West, they don't.
Oh no.
Right? Like they just don't. So I think having these sorts of things, because if grandma's going to get you a gift card for your smartphone, she'd probably get you an iTunes gift card.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what smartphone you have.
No.
Right? So
just like the checkout, like, oh, Sonny likes the sun.
Is that how you agree? Is that how you agree?
Sonny likes his iPhone.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right, and that's great. It's good branding. Like,
yeah. Well, I saw it today when I was at Superstore.
Yeah. I love that bit black card Google Play. It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's contrasting, and very eye pleasing too.
Yeah. The Google design, I think, has been great lately.
I love the colors of Google Play. And,
yes.
And the whole new material. I know we talked about material design on the last podcast, but all of my apps seem to be rolling out material design in the past 2 weeks, and it's gorgeous. I love it.
This rolls right into the point I was going to make, actually.
Here we go.
So, Lollipop, Android 5.0, has begun to roll out over the air.
Yeah.
Right? And so the interesting thing about it, though, is the first phones to get it were Motorola phones.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So the Nexuses still do not have it.
Correct. Which is interesting. Although, now, I can't remember the full details, but I believe it was Motorola and LG or something that they just made like a 10-year agreement with Google or something like that. Like, we're
I
not
don't know
going to step on your toes, you're not going to step on ours, we're just going to agree to be in something like that. I'm probably saying it all wrong, but...
No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, kind of really good for the whole ecosystem moves, which is great.
No, I think that's super cool. Like I want to get it, right? I don't have it on my Nexus 7 yet. I mean, there's a lot of people having conniptions about it on Google Plus and stuff like that because they buy Nexuses because they want the first crack at the new versions of Android and stuff like that. I don't really care when I get it. As a nerd, I kind of want it sooner rather than later. Yeah. But it doesn't really affect me.
No. Yeah, but for those diehard people that do buy that, I personally wouldn't have done it that way if I was head of. I would make Nexus first.
Sure, but
because I believe it was in the reasoning for buying a Nexus Nexus 4. One of the things was like getting the latest set first to get updates.
Yeah.
Nexus 4 or 5 or whatever.
I don't know how I don't know. Well, they're over the air too, right? So they come straight. They like. At least if you have a Nexus device, these updates come from Google.
Yes, they do.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not. Or do they have to be approved by the carrier?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either, actually. I know, like, the tablet obviously comes straight from Google.
Yeah.
But in terms of the rest, is there still carrier approval that comes into play? Because that's the thing. I don't know who makes these decisions.
I believe, like, for my Note, it's always update, like, the code gets given to Samsung. Samsung develops the update. The update is then pushed to the carrier for a review before it goes over there.
Yeah.
So carrier is part of it, but that's for. But there's no carrier for a tablet.
No. So this I'm going to check right now.
Okay, he's checking.
Live on the air settings.
Hopefully my Wi-Fi.
About tablet. System updates.
Oh, drum roll. Drum roll. I'm guessing no.
It's not checking.
Oh.
It's not updated.
Wow.
Boo earns.
That's probably my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi has been really odd these days.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. My system is up to date.
Awesome. Well, not awesome, but good at the same time. Okay, well, that's been about just over an hour, so I think we can call that the episode 2 right there.
Yeah, good spot to wrap up, I think.
Yeah. So I guess we can discuss what people will look forward to, I guess, in the coming weeks. We'll be posting this episode in the few days.
Yep, hopefully in the next couple of days. Maybe once we get, like we talked about last time, once we get our schedule, which we're still trying to get set up. But this will actually be quicker now that we have everything else sort of in place. It should be quicker for it to get up on our website and then up into iTunes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the other things, whether they'll syndicate from the RSS, but
they should.
So hopefully it'll be quicker for that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that's at incoherentpodcast.com. Yep. You'll be able to find this.
Incoherentpodcast.com, the SoundCloud. We're going to get YouTube working this week. I have, and we'll be on iTunes too. Just search Incoherent Podcast.
Yep.
Should get you up there. And a few other, I'm looking into getting us on a few other places, so
cool.
We'll see. And I guess some preview into what people can find on the show notes. So on our blog, there's show notes for every episode.
Yep.
Links that we talk about, some ideas, maybe some images around what we were talking about during the episode. So I guess in this one there could be
nudes.
Yeah.
I made that joke last episode. I said that the blog was mostly nudes, so I just wanted to. If you haven't checked out the blog, it's mostly nude shots of Ben and I. So
well, we record naked, so
it's very artsy.
There's lots of shots of our where we're recording. Anyway, there'll be photos of Paul Gross.
Yes.
There'll be a full Tremors review.
A lot of people really like Tremors, you know.
Oh, I love it. There was even a show. There was a show on the Space Network.
Yes,
and it was great.
Starring the dad from Family Ties.
No, really?
The guy. Well, I don't know if he starred in the show, but you know, like the guy that loved the weapons in Tremors.
Yeah.
With the mustache.
I thought that's Paul Gross.
The guy from Family Ties is Paul Gross?
I think so.
Really? So there you go.
We have some research to do.
I just want to do Alex B. Keaton.
Oh, who's that?
That's Michael J. Fox's character from Family Ties.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
A pompous clown. No, I'm just kidding. It's from an episode, that terrible thing to put at the end of the podcast when I say we're going to wrap up, but it's from an episode of Family Ties where his sister, Justine Bateman, is wearing one of Alex's monogrammed shirts. And she says, I forget what she says, but he's like, that's my shirt. And she says, no, it's not. And he says, like, why does it say APK monogram? What does it stand for? And she says, a pompous clown. And for whatever reason, that has been burned into my head since I was, 7 or 8.
And even K isn't the way you spell clown.
Yes.
Wow. And I guess there'll be a link to some infographics.
Yeah. I'll link to the IDC numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll link to the BenedictEvans.com. He's got he did a presentation on mobile is eating the world, and I'll link to that. There's some really neat graphs and things like that. And you can see the graph of Windows connected devices. The graph of smartphone sales versus PC sales, all sorts of things.
Very good. I thought for a second that you were going to say Benedict Cumberbatch, who incidentally just got engaged apparently.
Oh yeah.
So, congratulations to everyone.
To Benedict Cumberbatch, one of our favorite listeners, smartphone enthusiast.
Yep. Oh, so good.
I'm trying to think of Benedict Cumberbatch jokes. Anyways, I do like Sherlock Holmes quite a bit. Sherlock, I think it's a really good show.
Me too.
One of the things I did want to say, that was one thing that we didn't get to talk to in this episode because apparently we were running longer than I actually thought we were. Which is good. Maybe that makes it more exciting. But one of the things I want to talk about, maybe next episode, maybe never, but it's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot, is what's going to happen with the smartphone industry, right? Mm-hmm. If none of these, and it kind of ties into the whole Samsung profit things and stuff like that. If the leading manufacturer and can't make a profit, and if developers, independent developers, can't make profits, what's going to happen to Android? And sure, there's the domination in terms of market share, but if no one's making money, it can't sustain itself.
Right.
So what's going to happen? How, because there's, some people say, like, does Google make more money from searches on iOS or on Android?
Yeah.
Right? So, that's just something I want to, obviously we're both very interested in mobile and Android and stuff like that. We don't have to always talk about it.
Sure.
But sort of thinking about what's the future for Android.
Yeah.
What does Android look, what's Android in 5 years?
Yeah, good point.
So that's one thing I'd like to talk about in the next coming episodes.
Yeah. And we did hint this on the...
Sorry.
What? Yeah, yes. We did hint this at the start of the episode. We, at the current moment, have not received any comments, any tweets about this. So, I think we could pretty safely say that we'll probably read some on the air if they're good.
Sure. Yeah.
It could always be like a comment section or tweets to us.
Yeah,
especially tweet topics to us. If you're like, I'd like to know more about X or about this, or just anything really.
Yep. Yeah. No. Yeah. If you any feedback, send it to on Twitter at Incoherent Pod.
Yeah.
What's our Gmail? Is it incoherentpodcast@gmail.com?
It is. Yeah.
Send an email there. Facebook. Leave a comment on the blog.
Yeah.
You can tweet me at Mark Mruss or Ben at Ben at Ben Rogers WPG.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
any feedback, if you call us idiots, disagree with it.
Yeah.
Agree with us. Topics is great.
Yeah.
Or anything like that would be good. Or just to prove that you listened all the way to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bug, if you will.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I believe that's our couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So,
episode 2.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Until next time.
Yeah. See you next week. 2 weeks.